This is Dr. Patrick Stewart, and with this video, we will consider Sean Spicer's career arc by focusing on the event that made him famous, his first presidential press statement. At just over 5 minutes, his first official act as White House press secretary left a lasting impression, so much so that he ultimately became a reality show celebrity, which aroused even more concern from the general public. In doing so, we'll apply many of the basic concepts of microanalysis to understanding how there is a normalization of the entertainment politics nexus. The casting controversy on Dancing with the Stars came about as a result of Sean Spicer being chosen to appear on the show. And as a result, Tom Bergeron, the host of the show, had a tweet that responded to this, and I'll just read the first part. A few months ago, during lunch with Dancing with the Stars' new executive producer, I offered suggestions for season 28. Chief among them was my hope that Dancing with the Stars, in its return following the unprecedented year-long hiatus, would be a joyful respite from our exhausting political climate and free of inevitably divisive bookings from any party affiliations. I left that lunch convinced we were in agreement. Subsequently, and rather obviously, a decision was made, as we often say in Hollywood, to go in a different direction. That direction was to bring in Sean Spicer. Now, the season lasted from September 16th to November 25th of 2019. And Sean Spicer was eliminated in the 6th round, the middle of the pack, in a season that was won by Bachelorette star Hannah Brown. In a season with 2 athletes, Ray Lewis and Lamar Odom, 3 singers, 3 actors, 2 reality show stars, and 1 model, Sean Spicer aroused the most interest as well as the most controversy. The question is, what was the controversy about? And the question that comes from that is, does Dancing with the Stars have an ideological or partisan bias? Now, to get a handle on that, we first have to get a handle on Sean Spicer and what he did that made him into a lightning rod for partisan politics. On Dancing with the Stars, we're looking at around 28 seasons and about 321 celebrities. And these celebrities include actors, singers, comedians, musicians, entrepreneurs, athletes, reality stars, journalists, internet personalities, newsmakers, and where are they now personalities. When we consider the political figures that have shown up on Dancing with the Stars, very few have distinctly political connections. Of these, most of them are talk show hosts, as can be seen with Tucker Carlson, Jerry Springer, Nancy Grace, Tavis Smiley, and Geraldo Rivera. Of the other 4, 2 are the children of former vice presidential candidate and Alaska Governor Sarah Palin, and 2 are Texas Republicans. Tom DeLay had just retired from Congress when he did Dancing with the Stars, while Rick Perry had just dropped out of the 2016 presidential race, and then became part of the seasons that ran from September 12th to November 23rd, 2016, right in the thick of the 2016 presidential race. Just after that, he was named President Donald Trump's Secretary of Energy. So there might be a bit of concern about ideological bias. So the question is, what is the big deal about Sean Spicer? When we apply the concepts of microanalysis to real-world examples, item number 6, communication can be regarded as a form of skill, is probably the most informative. Sean Spicer was the White House press secretary, and as we'll see here, Sean Spicer essentially sets stage with his press secretary actions with his first press announcement.
All of this space was full when the president took the oath of office. We know that 420,000 people used the D.C. Metro public transit yesterday, which actually compares to 317,000 that used it for President Obama's last inaugural. This was the largest audience to ever witness an inauguration, period, both in person and around the globe. Even the New York Times printed a photograph showing that a misrepresentation of the crowd in the original tweet in their paper, which showed the full extent of the support, depth, and crowd and intensity that existed. These attempts to lessen the enthusiasm of the inauguration are shameful and wrong. The president was also at the Central, as you know, the president was at the Central Intelligence Agency today and greeted by a raucous overflow crowd of some 400 plus CIA employees. There were over 1,000 requests to attend, prompting the president to note that he'll have to come back to greet the rest. The employees were ecstatic that he's the new commander-in-chief, and he delivered them a powerful and important message. He told them he has their back, and they were grateful for that. They gave him a 5-minute standing ovation at the end in a display of their patriotism and their enthusiasm for his presidency. I'd also note that it's a shame that the CIA didn't have a CIA director to be with him today when he visited, because the Democrats have chosen, Senate Democrats are stalling the nomination of Mike Pompeo and playing politics with national security. That's what you guys should be writing and covering. That this, instead of sowing division about tweets and false narratives. The president is committed to unifying our country, and that was the focus of his inaugural address. This kind of dishonesty in the media, the challenging that bringing about our nation together is making it more difficult. There's been a lot of talk in the media about the responsibility to hold Donald Trump accountable. And I'm here to tell you that it goes two ways. We're going to hold the press accountable as well. The American people deserve better, and as long as he serves as the messenger for this incredible movement, he will take his message directly to the American people, where his focus will always be.
So the inauguration was much contested amongst those on both the left and the right, or more appropriate, Republicans and Democrats. And that what we see here is different presentations of how many people showed up. And as such, when we consider politics being a form of popularity contest, the way that images are framed can influence people's perceptions of the world. And here we see different images and different interpretations of how well attended Donald Trump's press conference was. The fifth item that we consider within micro-analysis of politics is that conversation can be regarded as a form of action. And as we saw from that video clip, Spicer established a contentious relationship with the press, and it influenced his ability to communicate with the general public. With his comment there, yesterday, some members of the media were engaged in deliberately false reporting. He aggressively attacked the press corps, which is something that is not typically carried out on the very first day of the job. And this is something that Spicer essentially agreed with when he stated on his interview on NPR's All Things Considered on July 18, 2018, "If you ask me for one thing that I probably want to do over on, that's it. There's nobody happy with me that night." This takes us to item number 4 of microanalysis of political communication, that communication has structure. One thing that we do know about President Donald Trump is he has a preference to directly connect with his audience. As of the 2018 midterm elections, Donald Trump had attended 33 Make America Great Again rallies in 17 states and 2 GOP candidate rallies in Alabama and South Carolina. For comparison, at the same point in his presidency, Barack Obama had attended 9 political rallies for the Democratic National Committee and Democratic Party candidates, and 1 for his health insurance plan. This suggests that Donald Trump prefers getting out there in front of his public in large audiences. It also suggests that Sean Spicer needed to get it right for his boss, President Trump, by effectively communicating that there was a large audience there for him. And this leads us to microanalysis item number 3. All features of interaction are potentially significant. Now, when we look at Sean Spicer's assertions, we look not only at the facts, and there are facts that we can look at, but also the verbal and nonverbal elements. His forehead tends to tighten up under moments of stress.
We know that 420,000 people used the DC Metro public transit yesterday, which actually compares to 317,000 that used it for President Obama's last inaugural.
He was fudging the numbers a little bit here. This takes us to microanalysis item number 2. The communication can be studied as an activity in its own right. Even assertions of blame, which happens in this upcoming clip, can be disentangled to look for non-congruent behavior. Again, take a look at the forehead and also take a look at the movement of the body.
These attempts to lessen the enthusiasm of the inauguration are shameful and wrong.
Likewise, in this comment, we see that Sean Spicer is defending attacks on the press and the idea that the story ought to focus on the CIA director and changeover.
I'd also note that it's a shame that the CIA didn't have a CIA director to be with him today when he visited.
With this clip that's coming up, it does a good job of illustrating micro-analytic concept number 1. Communication is studied as it actually occurs.
There's been a lot of talk in the media about the responsibility to hold Donald Trump accountable. And I'm here to tell you that it goes two ways. We're going to hold the press accountable as well.
Donald Trump has aggressively gone after the press when it hasn't supported him. And it doesn't matter which of the press outlets. If it hasn't supported him, Donald Trump will go directly at them. It's a part of his personality. It gives us an idea of what would happen in the very near future. In conclusion, let's consider what microanalysis is about. It's a distinctive methodology and a way of thinking about communication that involves performing highly detailed analyses of speech and nonverbal communication.